After my wife Nina died, I started to notice that I was doing certain things, little things, mostly without even realizing it, that were quietly making my grief harder to carry. And here's the thing, none of them came from a bad place. Most of them came from love, but they weren't helping me. And one by one, I had to make myself stop. So today I want to share 5 of them with you. Not because I have this all figured out, I promise you that I don't, but because if you're walking this road too, maybe you'll recognize one of these in yourself, and maybe it'll help. My name is Roland. If we haven't met yet, this is a channel about learning to live and to love life again after losing a spouse. I lost my wife, Nina, after almost 62 years together. I'm no expert on any of this. I'm just a widower walking the road one day at a time, same as you. Let's get into it. Number 1, I had to stop replaying the moment she died and punishing myself over it. You probably know the thoughts. If only I had done this. If only I'd said that. I should have. I could have. I would run that morning over and over again in my mind. Now, I never want to forget the moment Nina passed. She looked so peaceful. I want to hold on to that for the rest of my life. But there's a difference between remembering her and flogging myself. And the flogging wasn't very productive. It wasn't changing a single thing. It was just chaining me to the hardest hour of my life. So instead, I started gently pulling myself back to the present, focusing on being here now, and staying connected to the people who are still around me. When I catch myself replaying it and assigning blame, I stop and I ask myself a simple question. Who's in the room with me right now that needs my attention? Number 2, I had to stop stumbling over what to say when people offered their condolences. People are kind. They come up to you and they say, "I'm so sorry." And at first I never knew how to answer that. Say "I'm sorry" back? That made no sense. They'd also say, "My condolences," and it felt rehearsed. So I'd just mumble something, feeling awkward, not knowing what to do with all of that kindness. So I gave myself something to say, something simple and true. "Thank you so much. I appreciate that." And then, this is the part that really changed things for me. I learned to add just a little bit more. Something like, "You were a good friend to her," or "She really enjoyed her time with you," or "You've been so helpful to us." Because here's what I discovered. When you add that, you're not just surviving an awkward moment. You're sharing the grief with them. You're honoring their loss too. And it strengthens the friendship right when you need those friendships the most. Number 3, I had to stop thinking in terms of never. After you lose your spouse, everyone wants to know, what happens now? What are you going to do? What are your plans? And in the raw heat of those early days, it is so easy to answer with that word never. I'll never travel again. I'll never take another cruise. I'll never enjoy the holidays again. I'll never whatever. And I understand that feeling completely. But I've learned to be very careful with that word because the truth is life keeps moving relentlessly. And in time, in my own way, I have to keep moving with it. Life can get better, and it will. So here's my advice to you and honestly to myself. Don't go building high walls and hard boundaries in the middle of your grief. You do not have to decide the whole rest of your life today. Instead of never, try thinking only in terms of how you feel right now, today, and leave yourself room to change your mind down the road, because you are definitely allowed to. Number 4, I had to stop bringing Nina into every single conversation. For a while there, I did it constantly. Every topic, every chat, I'd find some way to mention her. What Nina would do, what Nina would say, what Nina would think. I even had a little phrase for it in my head, WWND, what would Nina do? And I think I was doing it to keep her present, to make sure she wasn't forgotten, not by me and not by anyone else. But at some point, I realized that always reaching for what would Nina do was quietly keeping me from living my own life. Because as hard as this is to say out loud, this is my reality now. So I've been learning to stay in the conversation and to ask a different question. Not what would Nina do, but what would I do? What do I think? What do I want to say here in this moment? She'll always be a part of me, always. But I'm the one who is still here, and I have to learn how to live as myself again. And number 5, I had to stop isolating myself. Now, I'm an introvert by nature. For me, being alone is often a whole lot more comfortable than the noise and the confusion of a big group of people. So when I lost Nina, retreating into myself felt like the easiest thing in the world. But I found out really quickly where that road leads. Isolating myself just left me feeling down, lonely, even worthless. And here's the sneaky part. I could do it even in a crowd. I'd be in a room full of people and catch myself zoning out, going quiet, trying to make myself invisible. So I've had to give myself a very deliberate instruction. When I'm with people now, I remind myself of 3 things. Sit up tall, be visible, and truly listen, really listen to what the other person is saying. It's a small thing, but it pulls me up out of my own head and back into the world where life is actually still happening. So there they are, 5 things I had to stop doing after Nina died. Replaying the moment and blaming myself, fumbling the condolences, thinking in never, making every conversation about her, and hiding away from people. Now, I want to be clear about one thing. Stopping these was never about forgetting Nina, not for 1 second. It was about choosing to keep living, which is the whole reason I started this channel. If even one of these landed for you, do me a favor. Pick just one and work on it. Only one, because that's how this whole thing goes. One small choice at a time. If this helped, subscribe and walk this road with me. And if you feel up to it, I would truly love to hear it in the comments. What's one thing you had to stop doing? Someone else reading it needs to know they're not alone. I'm Roland. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.